If you're thinking about starting a band, or you're in a band already that's just getting their feet off the ground, or even if you've been going for a while and you just haven't seen the results you were hoping for in the time that you've been going, I've got a few ideas and concepts that I think you should probably be looking into if you aren't already. The first one is day one goals. If you haven't done this is a huge and major thing that you really have to think about. You need to figure out what this band is going to be from day one. Are you going to be a covers band? Are you going to be writing original music? Is this just a bit of fun for you and your friends? Or is this something you want to do and take it as far as you possibly can? Touring, releasing music, big festivals, big support shows, everything like that. If you're starting a band, or even if you've already started one and you're already in one and you're already doing things, you really need to make sure that the people that you're in a band with understand the goal. So you need to sit down and you need to have that conversation. What is the goal? Do you fully realize what it takes to achieve that goal? You really all have to be on the same wavelength, or you're just going to be fighting each other down the road. You will get it to a point, and that will be where some people, that's as far as they ever want to take it. If you all know that's where your goal is, then you know that you're safe with that group of people and that you're going to have a rock solid foundation to build this band from. Once you have your goal in mind, it becomes easier to analyze your whole approach, figure out how you're going to achieve that goal. What is it that will take you from here to here? You can look at what bands are doing around you right now. If they've been going a similar amount of time than you, what is it that they're doing that's getting them the opportunities that you're not getting? Try and not judge yourself against legacy bands in your scene. Try and judge yourself on the bands that are coming up right now in your area. They're looking at a goal, they're figuring out how it can be done, and they're taking steps to make sure that that happens. A really easy thing you can do is just scroll through bands' social media to find out, like, what is it they were doing to promote themselves when they started? At what point was there a shift, and what was it that they were doing that created that shift? That becomes a much harder task in this modern landscape of how social media work, because a lot of bands will delete their older content to keep their page tidy. But keep looking around and seeing what you can find, because once you've got a goal, it becomes easier to find out ways to achieve it than if you are shooting in the dark and everyone is on a different wavelength trying to do different things. The second thing is you need to get organized, like really organized. Democracy sounds good on paper. I'm going to be honest here. In most bands, democracy doesn't work. Everyone voting and coming to a consensus doesn't work for most bands, because most bands are made up of multiple people with multiple ideas, but within those you get tighter friendships forming, and you will end up in a situation where if you're in a 5-piece band, 3 people are always going to vote the same way as one another and 2 people aren't, and the 2 that aren't are going to feel like they're out of control of the situation, like their voice isn't being heard, and it can spoil the band's dynamic. So a way that would be a good suggestion is to find the person who everyone trusts the most within that band and give them total veto power. Become a dictatorship of sorts, where everyone in the band advises that person on what the best course of action should be, and that person gets to make the final decision. That is a lot of responsibility and a lot of pressure. So if you're thinking that you could be that person, just remember that the potential careers, the expectations of everyone in that band are falling on your shoulders, and you're going to have to say no to people, even if the right course of action means that you have to say no to someone who you might usually agree with. This just avoids friction in the long run, because if everyone is working under the expectation that there has to be a justified reason for doing your choice rather than just vibes. And just because one person gets veto power doesn't mean that everyone loses control to that one person. Delegating jobs within the band about the day-to-day management and running of a thing, if everyone's on the same page about stuff, is really good. You can have someone run your social media, you can have someone in charge of booking for you, you can have someone in charge of your finances. There's so many jobs within a band that you can delegate out to people based on their strengths, that it will just work better if everyone's on the same page as to where the end goal is. Like my previous point, they're really only coming to the decision maker when they're unsure about doing something. The decision maker's job is really only for like the final touches of, is the artwork finished? Is the mix fine? Give that person the creative final say on everything, and, you know, come to the general consensus somewhat democratically, where everyone's vision is put in. But the minute it comes to a disagreement within the band, that one person gets the final say. My third suggestion, that's probably going to rub people up the wrong way: stop rushing. This is by far the most common mistake I see bands making all of the time. They get so excited that they've got their first mix back, first draft of their music video has come in, or they've got these really grainy, horrible, blurry photos from a show, and they can't wait to do stuff with it, or they've just started rehearsing together and they're already booking shows. That excitement is your driving force to keep going. It should not be used as your driving force to rush into things. You only get one chance to make a good impression, and you have all the time in the world to make that impression. There's no rush. If you're excited about it now, think about how much more exciting it's going to be once you've delayed it a little bit, to make sure it's just right, to make sure you're ready. And I'm not saying wait until it's perfect, because done is always better than perfect. Just because you're excited about it doesn't mean it's ready. My band, for example, started jamming together and getting the demos through from our main songwriter in late 2023. We were rehearsing, we were recording, we were polishing off songs, we were filming music videos, we were doing a bunch of stuff, filming content for social media. We even did a test gig. Different logo, no social media launch, very little promotion. We let the promoter know in advance that this wasn't going to be our first gig, that this was all just a trial run for a proper launch. We started playing together in 2023. We didn't play our first show until February 2025, and we launched our social media in January. We had an EP ready, a music video ready, the startings of another music video ready. We'd picked out our singles, everything we could need set out in advance, and we booked shows in September of 2024 for February through March into April. We had all of that lined up before we even announced we existed to the world. 6 months worth of backlog of stuff. So as time went on, we could month by month pack on to the end. So we ended up never running out of things to do or talk about or promote, and we were constantly gigging. We ended up in our first year supporting UK bands like Dead Flesh, Seething Akira, Earthbound, Acadian, Burner, Pint Glass, and so many more incredible bands that are killing it on the UK underground scene right now. We played festivals like Bob Fest up in Hertfordshire and Midsummer Murder Fest in London, and we finished our summer off by playing Bloodstock Open Air, headlining the New Blood stage on the Friday of the festival. And none of that would have happened for us if we didn't get our ducks in a row before we launched to make sure that everything was ready. By the time we played Bloodstock, we were 2 songs into the next EP. That's not even out yet, because when you're in an industry like this that moves so quickly, you don't want to be forgotten, because if you drop the ball, it's like starting all over again, especially when you're on the bottom levels like where we are. Number 4 is budget and money management. If you understand how much money you're going to spend on each thing that you need to do to be in a band, then you can prepare for that. And having, like I said before, getting everything ready beforehand and not rushing anything means that you have the time to make sure that you have those funds available when you need them. You don't ever want to be offered an opportunity that's so far out that you can't afford to go. Oh, you need to delay this and do this instead, but that's more expensive and now you don't have money for that thing. You want to make sure that you've got funds behind you so you can do that. When you're starting out in a band, it's going to be a money pit for a long time. It's going to take a while before you start turning any money in. So to keep this sustainable, you need to manage your funds better. You need to know how much production is going to cost you, how much playing a show and travel is going to cost you, how much your equipment is going to cost you in terms of strings or sticks or cymbals or whatever. You need to understand the cost of all of that and the wear and tear on your instruments to make sure that you can continue to do this. You need to understand what producing your own merch is going to cost you, which leads into how are you going to recoup money? What are you going to charge for your shows? What can you fairly charge for your shows? How are you going to ask that question to a promoter when you have nothing behind you? Are you going to have to do some shows for free and make some waves using how you promote yourselves? What's your marketing going to cost you? What are you going to spend your money on? How much is it going to cost you? And how are you going to make that money back? Making spreadsheets is not why you got into music, but I promise you, making a few spreadsheets to track your ingoings and outgoings and your stock levels on merch. So you really want to make sure that you've got a clear budget for everything that you're going to do and a plan on how you're going to try and turn money back to keep being in a band sustainable for everyone's wallet and income in a time where money is tight for basically everyone. On the topic of budget, you are going to make mistakes when it comes to band spending, and that's okay, right? Everyone does it. But when you are starting out, You don't want to spend a massive amount of money on something that is a huge risk that doesn't pay off, because that can be devastating. I've spent money in this band on a PR campaign, for example, that didn't bring in anything, and it cost us 1/3 of our entire budget for 2025. It was crushing, but we've made that mistake now. While it was hard, it was a risk that we needed to take to understand in ourselves. PR of that style for a small band such as ours, probably not worth it in our niche. So while it was gutting, it was a lesson that we learned, and now weighing up risk to reward for us is a lot easier to do, but that is something that you're going to need to figure out on your own. What are the risks that nothing comes of this, and is there a more guaranteed spend right now that we could make? Weigh up your risk to reward, keep track of your spending, and plan how you're going to make it back. My fifth concept and idea that you really need to look into is going to be a touchy subject for some older musicians and a moot point for the younger ones, and it's because it's based around social media. Social media has given access to a wide network of people for free for every band under the sun. And for the younger people, I know you understand this. For the older people, like myself, you need to think of social media like flyering a gig or paying for a billboard or putting posters up. Social media is your billboard. Followers that look at your content, that are more targeted to liking your sort of music, that's flyering a gig. But only it doesn't come with the massive charge of hiring out a billboard, with the cost of paying to get into the venue, pay to print out flyers. It's all free. It's there for you. And just like with those things, if you're not doing it regularly and consistently, people will forget who you are. Same thing with social media. Reels on Instagram are like a billboard that changes depending on who's watching it. If someone likes your content, they'll be shown it more. If you don't post enough, you get forgotten and other bands pop in ahead of you. You really should be posting 3 to 5 times a week, and ideally, if you've just released something, you want to have 30 to 60 days worth of consistent posting. And that sounds like a lot, but if you post something that does well, you try and recreate that vibe with a different look or a slightly different way to rekindle that spark of what made it do so well for you. And if you do something that doesn't do well, try and figure out why. See if you can reuse that content you've made, repurpose it into something that does do a bit better. Piece of content I don't consider dead until you've tried it 3 times and it's failed 3 times. Being real, because it's a bugbear of mine, is if you're a metal band, don't post a guess who's the drummer reel, because reels are mostly shown to people that don't follow you. They are shown to new people, and if that's their first impression of you and they follow you for that, they're not there for the music. They're not there for your performance. They're there for a joke reel that's on a trend that has nothing to do with what you're doing. It's self-defeating, because the wide array of people that will have seen that, because it will most likely do really well in terms of views, but the follow through is going to be really small, because you're going to get people from all genres that might not have any interest in metal coming, liking, viewing it, maybe even following you for it, and it's just going to confuse the algorithm. Now, this is the part that I think is going to upset people the most when it comes to this topic, but paid promotion on social media is massive, and it's like the billboard analogy. If you want more people to see your billboard and you want more people to flyer to, you pay more to get your billboard put in a prime location, or you pay more for tickets to concerts, more concerts, to have more people see your stuff. It's exactly the same thing, but I can guarantee you the amount of people you are going to reach with your social media ad campaign versus your boots on the ground billboard or flyering shows is going to be significantly less. It just is. So don't overlook the power of social media. It will be a mistake for you and for your band and for your growth. Take advantage of the tools you have there available to you, because I can guarantee it, if you're still complaining about social media after you've watched this video, then you'd be the guy complaining in the 80s when music videos were taking off, that it should just be about the music. It's just a new way of marketing your music, and for once, the power is in your hands. You can find your niche in social media in a way that you've never been able to before. So to wrap up, set your goal really early. Make sure that you are in a band with people that share your vision and share your goal. You need to look at how your band structures its decision-making process. If there is friction in the band, try giving the one person the veto power. Overall, you need to be organised. Get your jobs allocated. Make sure that everyone knows what their roles and their responsibilities are, so the band can keep moving like a well-oiled machine. Make sure your budgets are set, that you understand what you're paying for, why you're paying for it, and how much it's going to cost, and make sure you also understand how you're going to try and recoup that money. What are you charging to play shows? How much are you charging for your merch? And how are you going to manage all of that? Stop rushing. I know it's exciting. I know you really want to get this out. I know you're really excited about it. But if you put it out now with nothing to back it up, start playing these shows when you're not ready. Everything to you is just a concept right now, and you'll figure it out once you're booked. Don't book. Social media is your friend. As much as it might annoy you, social media is there to help you, and it is mostly free, unlike any other form of marketing has ever been for musicians. So use it. The music and the show and all of the fun things are a really small part of the whole picture. Don't let this industry chew you up and spit you out. If you care enough to make the music, then care a little bit more to get it to the people who deserve to hear it.